We have Spencer Belz is up next. Spencer is also a board member now of the Cannabis Business Association. Welcome. Spencer is the chair of our Retail and Marketing Committee. But he'll talk about the initiatives that he's pursuing.
All right, well, thank you guys. Like Marianne said, my name is Spencer Belz. I'm the chairperson of the Retail and Marketing Committee for the CBA. For the next 2.5 hours, I'm going to walk you through everything that we've been working on. I've been involved with the CBA for a little over the last year as the chairperson, and it's been really, really exciting. It's also incredibly difficult. There are almost 280 retailers throughout the entire state of New Jersey. As you know, New Jersey is the most densely populated state. There's so many little pockets of communities that look like an entire different world, from where I'm from down by the beach to where people outside of Philly, outside of New York City. So what we experience as retailers is a very, very different thing across the board. In some ways, that makes it really tough for us to really understand what type of growth needs to be experienced, from the legislative, statute, and from the regulatory and compliance side for retailers. But at the same time, we all deal with so many of the same issues because of that basic standard that is set. So a big thing that we've been focusing on is really trying to understand where retail is at in the market. Not only are we still in our infancy, I would say 99% of the retailers that are open in the state have only been, operating for the last year and a half, but there's new operators coming in constantly. One of the biggest struggles that we see for retailers is the lack of municipalities where you can come in and operate within as a new retailer. For us, there's so many different approaches and there's so many different variables that go into being a retail operator, whether you're coming in or you're currently open and operating. So we've really started to form the committee into two main areas of focus. Number one is taking a look at our individual struggles, what we're dealing with, and how we can make sure that all of the nuances for retailers really gets focus. But then we're taking a look at what are the broader problems that we are all experiencing, no matter where you are and what your business model is. For all retailers, one of the things that some of us have struggled with and some have received fines and violations for is open consumption. This is something that is a part of the community and the culture of cannabis, whether regulated or, well before that. The community behind cannabis is a true keystone of what we do. What recommendations that we've already sent out to the commission is allowing better guidance, better clarity, and better parameters on how licensed operators can hold open consumption events. This is something that we all like to do. This is something that we all currently do. We need to have more clarity on how to do it properly. And this isn't just a retail issue either. For our cultivators and manufacturers, they're the ones producing these products. They want to be able to be part of this community, part of these experiences, and explore everything hands-on. So that's a recommendation that we sent back in April after there was a dispensary that unfortunately got a violation in the state of New Jersey for holding an event like this. We really understood the immediate need of focusing on these issues, giving us the opportunity to grow and expand and immerse ourselves, but to do it in a compliant and regulated way. None of us want to go against the laws or the rules. None of us want to receive violations or fines, but there's certain things that we need further definition on to understand how we can do it properly. We want to work with the CRC, and we need the CRC to work with us. So that was the first recommendation as a committee, that we were able to all get on the same page, because again, it's something that impacts all of us and creates opportunity for all of us at the same time. The other thing that is a broad sweeping change that we need to see, and this again, started with the retail committee, but is incredibly important to the entire supply chain, are the badging regulations. Right now, every single employee is required to go through a federal background check for each operator that they want to work at. No matter how long they've been in the industry, no matter how many times they've been badged, no matter how many times they've passed that background check, it is required for every single operation that you want to go and work for. There are, you also need to have a unique and individual badge for every single license that you work for. We understand when you're starting something new, like regulated cannabis, that you need to be conservative, you need to be careful, you have to make sure that there's a certain level of oversight to protect everybody and anybody involved, whether the individual, the operators, or the state entities themselves. But 3.5 years in, We have experienced no major issues with the badging process. If anything, we have all experienced major issues with it. It is expensive, paying $70 to go get every background check, if not more. You have to spend $25 every time that you're going to get a CRC badge and renew it, and it creates an unnecessary delay in the badging process. We had provisional badging that allowed you to wait 14 days and submit a notarized attestation for provisional badge. That was unfortunately removed. The CRC... 100%. There's so many barriers that this creates instead of making this more accessible for all of us. In every other sector, industry, market, it is up to the individual, licensed operation to do their due diligence on the employees that they bring in. Just because somebody has some type of conviction, it's up to the, the individual operator to choose if that's disqualifying or not. We really, our main focus on this one is being able to limit these barriers of entry, allowing badges to be transferable through all operators of one single license type, a single retail badge, manufacturing, cultivation, or licensing, to make it easier and faster to transition. We need to either remove the federal background check or, some of the heavier badging restrictions. We're recommending only needing one single background check to be able to enter into the market. At that point, it's up to the individual entities to make decisions on themselves, but you should be able to continue to work from business to business without getting a new background check every single time. So being able to lower that background check barrier, being able to make that a transitionary license, and making this a more accessible market is only going to benefit the individual employees, the operators, and the commission themselves, who have to allocate how much labor and time to do all of these approvals. But then, that's some of our more broader approaches or initiatives. When we're looking at individual things, something that we're working on right now is creating a special events permit. We saw in the state of California that you can safely, legally, and compliantly allow retailers to sell product off-site at predetermined, pre-approved private properties. They do it at festivals in California. They do it at smaller events out there. And, as we've seen, because otherwise we would all know and hear, without any major issue. In a state like Jersey, where there's an oversaturation geographically of retailers, we need to create opportunities where they can expand outside of those four walls. We allow liquor and beer and wine to sell off-sites. It is a normal part of our everyday fabric of society. Cannabis should be no different. It creates more accessibility. It further immerses what we do into the general community, and it gives the general community an opportunity to immerse in what we do as well. It's an education and advocacy opportunity that we need to bring into this market. Jersey is a very communally driven state, and we need to find ways to take cannabis and push it further into that and open our doors broader to allow people to step inside to what we're doing. And then, like I had mentioned, there's some more nuanced problems that we're experiencing within the state. I'm fortunate that I work for one of the 3 open consumption lounges in the state of New Jersey. And prior to even applying for our license, we knew that there were going to be a slew of problems that we were going to run into through the application, through opening the doors, and through operations. We are, putting together an entire reform package, as Mary Ann was mentioning, and one of the things we're going to focus on is lounges and a lot of the issues that we experience. Main thing, we need to be permitted to sell prepackaged food and drink. Not only is this a safety concern because you have people consuming an intoxicating substance in our business, on our property, and we need to make sure that we offer that type of support for them, but it's also an additional revenue stream for us, being able to make money off of something as simple as water bottles and snacks. And then the third part of it is that if opening a consumption lounge is here to create an environment to explore cannabis and to have a safe and regulated space, we need to recognize that that is no longer a part of the dispensary. On paper, through the license it is, but operationally that is traditional hospitality. Bars are non-existent without food. They make their money from all of the drinks, but the people stay because of the food. I make all of my money from the cannabis products. I need the food there to keep people there and to be able to replicate a similar business model. If we are trying to immerse cannabis into the real world by regulating this and keeping it legal, we have to look at all of the spider webs that come out from it, look at all the tangible aspects, and make sure that we're building this to be something sustainable, something safe, and something that's going to have a positive impact on society, not a negative one. If somebody's in my lounge and they overconsumed or they, are just, they have asthma, they're coughing, they need water water. Legally, I am not allowed to provide that person water in my consumption lounge. That is unacceptable. Water is a basic human right. Water is something that should be a part of my business model to further support those, to further support myself, and to allow us to make a stronger ecosystem for everything that we're doing. But, you know, retail is, in certain ways, the most diverse and dynamic aspect of cannabis. Yes, on the product side, there's so much room to explore from the different form factors, product categories, the branding, the methods of consumption, the science behind all of it, but that is something that is prepackaged by the time it hits our dispensary. But what we do operationally is incredibly vast. If you are a licensed operator, a retail operator in New Jersey, we need you to come join the CBA and work with us to strengthen everything that we're trying to do and strengthen the regulatory and compliance landscape to make this a better state market for all of us collectively. If you come on, you can join the retail committee, you can use your voice to not only bring your own issues and concerns to the table, but you can also help build a case to support the issues that affect all of us collectively. When we can put ourselves together that way, we have the people, we have the power, we have the voice to be able to take advantage of, you know, bringing these changes. As Martha was saying, she wouldn't be here legally if it wasn't for the work and the time that she put into that. She didn't get paid for it. But it's something that we all have to make that individual and collective sacrifice for the greater good of our market. And the retailers, there's a hell of a lot more of us than there are the rest of the supply chain license-wise. So if we need change, we have to do it collectively. So please feel free to reach out to me. Let's get you onboarded, get you into the committee, and continue to work to make Jersey the strongest market on the East Coast, as we all believe it currently is. But thank you guys so much.